I am 92 years old, and after living this long, I have learned many painful truths about people. One truth took me most of my life to understand. Sometimes the people closest to you secretly resent you. They smile at you. They speak kindly to you. But deep inside, something darker quietly grows. Most people never notice it. They believe kindness always means loyalty. But life has shown me that resentment often hides behind polite words. My name is Robert. I have lived through almost a century of human behavior. I have watched friendships grow and slowly collapse. I have seen families stand strong and then quietly fall apart. And over time, I began noticing patterns in people, small signals that revealed what someone truly felt inside. These signals were easy to miss, but once you learn them, you start seeing them everywhere. Today, I want to share 7 of those signs, 7 signals that someone secretly resents you. Most people never notice them. And the 4th one is the one almost everyone misses. The first sign is subtle criticism disguised as advice. A resentful person rarely attacks you directly. Instead, they wrap their resentment in polite suggestions. They question your decisions. They gently highlight your mistakes. They make small comments that slowly weaken your confidence. At first, these comments seem harmless. They may even sound helpful. But over time, they leave you feeling smaller. I remember a coworker I once trusted. Whenever something good happened in my life, he had something negative to say. When I received a promotion, he smiled and said I must have been lucky. When I succeeded in a difficult project, he reminded me how easily things could fail next time. At first, I believed he was simply being cautious, but later I realized something important. He was not offering wisdom. He was feeding his resentment. The second sign is the inability to celebrate your success. People who secretly resent you struggle to feel happy when you succeed. They might congratulate you politely, but their excitement feels empty. Their smile feels forced. Their response is short and quickly changes the subject. I noticed this behavior many times in my life. When one person truly cares about you, they feel joy in your happiness. But resentment blocks that joy. A resentful heart struggles to celebrate another person's victories. Instead, it quietly compares and complains. The third sign is constant comparison. Resentful people often measure their lives against yours. They compare careers. They compare relationships. They compare achievements and opportunities. Comparison slowly turns admiration into bitterness. I once had a neighbor who compared everything. If I repaired something in my house, he talked about building something bigger. If I mentioned traveling somewhere, he described traveling somewhere better. At first, it felt like friendly conversation, but over time, the competition became exhausting. Eventually, I understood that comparison was hiding resentment. Now we arrive at the 4th sign. This is the sign most people miss. It is quite an emotional distance. A resentful person slowly begins withdrawing from you. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just quietly. They stop asking about your life. They stop sharing their thoughts with you. Their conversations become shorter. Their warmth slowly fades. This kind of distance is easy to misunderstand. Many people assume the person is simply busy, but sometimes something deeper is happening. I experienced this with someone I once considered a close friend. For years we spoke regularly. We shared stories and plans for the future. Then slowly something changed. His calls became less frequent. His responses became shorter. His interest in my life slowly disappeared. At first, I believed he was simply occupied with his own life. But later I discovered the truth. He had grown resentful of my progress. Instead of expressing his feelings, he quietly distanced himself. The fifth sign is hidden negativity toward your dreams. Resentful people often discourage you in subtle ways. They present their doubt as concern. They warn you about risks. They imagine possible failures. Their words appear thoughtful but feel heavy. I once knew a man who reacted this way whenever I shared an idea. If I spoke about starting a project, he predicted problems. If I shared a goal, he described reasons it might fail. At first, I believed he was protecting me from disappointment, but eventually I understood something important. His negativity was not protection. It was resentment disguised as caution. The sixth sign is passive disrespect. Resentment often reveals itself through small acts of disrespect. A resentful person interrupts you often. They dismiss your opinions. They minimize your ideas. These behaviors appear minor, but they slowly reveal deeper feelings. Respect is natural when admiration exists, but resentment quietly erodes respect over time. I saw this behavior many times in workplaces and friendships. The final sign is perhaps the most painful one. A resentful person secretly enjoys your failures. They may hide their reaction well, but their lack of empathy becomes noticeable. When things go wrong for you, they remain strangely calm. They offer little comfort. They show little concern. Sometimes their silence says more than their words. This moment reveals the truth behind the relationship. Now, at the age of 92, I understand something clearly. Resentment is rarely about you. It usually grows from insecurity. It grows from comparison. It grows from people feeling unhappy with their own lives. When someone resents you, it does not always mean you have harmed them. Sometimes your success simply reminds them of what they wish they had. Understanding this truth changes the way you see people. You stop taking every reaction personally. You begin observing people more carefully. You notice their actions instead of trusting only their words. Actions reveal the truth that words often try to hide. Over the years, I learned another important lesson. Not everyone deserves a close place in your life. Some people belong only at a distance. Keeping resentful people too close slowly drains your peace. Life becomes lighter when you surround yourself with those who genuinely support you. People who celebrate your victories. People who respect your growth. People who encourage your dreams instead of quietly resenting them. Those are the people worth keeping near your heart. At 92, I value peace more than approval. I no longer chase acceptance from everyone around me, because life taught me something simple but powerful. You cannot control how others feel about you, but you can control who you allow into your inner circle. Sometimes wisdom means creating quiet distance, not anger, not revenge, just a peaceful distance, because protecting your peace is not selfish, it is necessary. And after living for 92 years, I know one truth for certain. The people who truly value you will never resent your happiness. They will celebrate it with you. And those are the people who deserve to walk beside you through life. I want to tell you something else that took me decades to understand. Resentment rarely appears overnight. It grows slowly and quietly. It begins with comparison. Then it becomes jealousy. And if it continues long enough, it turns into resentment. Most people never notice this transformation happening. They continue trusting the same people without question. But time eventually reveals what people truly feel. That is why observing behavior is more important than listening to words. Words are easy to control, but behavior always reveals hidden emotions. When I was younger, I believed loyalty lasted forever. I believed that friendships once formed would never change. But life proved that belief wrong many times. People change as circumstances change. Success can change people. Failure can change people. Even happiness can change people. Sometimes your growth makes others uncomfortable. Sometimes your peace reminds others of their own struggles. And when someone feels left behind, resentment can quietly grow. I once had a business partner many years ago. We worked together for nearly a decade. In the beginning, we shared the same dreams. We worked long hours and supported each other. But as time passed, our paths began to change. My ideas started working better than his ideas. Our clients trusted my decisions more often. At first, he appeared supportive. He congratulated me on our successes. But slowly, his behavior began to change. He started questioning every decision I made. He started pointing out problems that did not exist. He began criticizing small details that had never mattered before. At first, I thought he was simply becoming more careful. But eventually, the truth became clear. He was no longer celebrating our success. He was resenting it. That experience taught me something powerful. Resentment often hides inside people who once supported you. That realization can be painful, but it can also be freeing, because once you understand human nature, you stop expecting everyone to remain the same forever. You begin accepting that some relationships naturally fade. You also begin recognizing which people truly support your happiness. Those people become very easy to recognize over time. They show excitement when you succeed. They encourage you when you struggle. They offer honest advice without trying to weaken your confidence. Most importantly, they respect your growth. True supporters never feel threatened by your progress. They feel inspired by it. They understand that another person's success does not reduce their own value. Unfortunately, not everyone sees life that way. Some people see success as a competition. They believe someone must lose for someone else to win. That belief slowly feeds resentment, and resentment slowly destroys relationships. That is why emotional awareness is so important. The more aware you become, the easier it becomes to protect your peace. You begin recognizing unhealthy patterns quickly. You begin noticing when someone's energy feels heavy. You begin trusting your instincts about people. Your instincts are often wiser than you realize. Throughout my long life, I ignored my instincts many times. Each time I ignored them, I eventually regretted it. Instincts often sense resentment long before the mind understands it. That uneasy feeling you experience around someone sometimes carries important information. It is your mind noticing small signals that your conscious thoughts have not yet recognized. Learning to trust that feeling can protect you from many painful experiences. Another important lesson I learned is about boundaries. Boundaries are not signs of weakness. They are signs of wisdom. When you set healthy boundaries, you protect your energy from resentful people. You reduce the influence of negative emotions around you, and you create space for healthier relationships to grow. Many people fear setting boundaries because they want to appear kind. But kindness without boundaries often leads to exhaustion. Resentful people often take advantage of unlimited kindness. They accept your support while quietly resenting your strength. That is why balance is important. You can be kind without allowing others to drain your peace. You can be supportive without sacrificing your own well-being. Learning that balance took me many years, but once I learned it, my life became much calmer. Peace is one of the most valuable treasures a person can have. When you protect your peace, everything else in life becomes clearer. You make better decisions. You build stronger relationships. You spend your time with people who truly appreciate your presence. At 92 years old, I now choose peace above everything else. I choose honest relationships over polite resentment. I choose quiet distance over unnecessary conflict. And most importantly, I choose self-respect over constant approval. Because the truth is simple. You cannot control how others feel about your success. You cannot control whether someone chooses admiration or resentment. But you can control how close you allow that person to stand in your life. You can decide who deserves your trust. You can decide who deserves your time. You can decide who deserves your energy. Those choices shape the quality of your life. Looking back across 9 decades, I realized that the happiest moments in my life came from genuine relationships. Not perfect relationships, but honest ones. Relationships where people supported each other without hidden bitterness. Those relationships are rare, but incredibly valuable. If you find people like that, protect those relationships carefully, because they bring peace into your life. And peace becomes more valuable with every passing year. If someone secretly resents you, do not hate them. Resentment often comes from pain and insecurity. But understanding their feelings does not mean you must accept their behavior. Sometimes compassion and distance must exist together. You can wish someone well while still protecting your own peace. That balance is the wisdom many people discover late in life. And if my 92 years have taught me anything, it is this: life becomes much lighter when you surround yourself with people who genuinely celebrate your happiness.